Good morning. I'd like to call the Operations Committee meeting to order. Is there any pecuniary interest?
None known.
No delegations. The prior meeting minutes have been approved at a previous council meeting. Do we have business arising from the minutes? I didn't see one of those.
I don't think
action
anything,
sheets in the
yeah.
package.
Yeah, we don't have it ready.
I'm sure there might be something, but
There's stuff coming up in the reports, I think,
Yeah.
that are related, but
okay. Okay. Guess we'll move down to the health and safety inspection sheets for the arena first. You want to display that? Am I moving too fast?
no, I can,
I know when I looked at them, there was nothing on the
It's
arena.
this thing about charging.
That was for
toilets,
public
yeah.
works.
I thought it was
think.
on both. Oh, no.
It was on the public works.
don't have rechargeable. No.
Was it on the arena one too? I
No.
only saw it on public works.
It's on two different sheets. It's just the same thing, two places.
yep, the arena's good.
That was with all departments, that was a charging.
Yeah, power with bars versus multiple outlets. Yeah, okay. I figured I saw the fire chief's name on that
Yeah.
one, so I figured it was something he might have noticed. And so then did we skip to public works then, health and safety inspection sheets? Because the arena looked good.
We can,
Okay. They had all the proper check marks. Yeah, there's the notations. And as we just said, that was gonna be addressed with the fire chief.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move to receive and file vote of those items.
So moved.
Okay, arena monthly reports for November and December under new business. Do I have to invite Derek up to do that, or he's already assumed? All right, it's been a while since I've had this committee. We went reverse order on my last term, so
Well, welcome back.
yeah, it's been about 6 years, I think.
Oh,
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is the monthly report for the arena for November. Ainsworth is in for another igniter and flame sensor on boiler number 1. We've had an inquiry from Sarnia Minor Ball Hockey about 4 times in the spring and summer. I'll be reaching out to them again once we get some more details on minor lacrosse and Pacers. Semi-annuals for the fire suppression system at the arena and community hall been completed. We had Coach go in on behalf of Live Barn looking for some internet service. They were back in and installed a dedicated modem for Live Barn. Ainsworth Technical was in on November 14th and the 15th to install new dressing room heaters, dressing room 7 and the workshop. They were both capital budget items from last year. They also installed the thermostat in one room and removed and capped an old water line in the compressor. Blue Water Fabricating was called in on November 15th to repair a broken well on the south gate of the visitors bench. Thank you to Blue Water Fabricating for coming in on such notice and repairing the gate. Lambton County Smoke and Tobacco Bylaw Officer was in for an inspection of the facility. The officer had high praise for the arena for our compliance, commented that we were the best in the county.
ooh, that's nice.
Yeah. Ainsworth was back in again for a reoccurring code on boiler number 1 of the hot water system. The supplier and manufacturer are both recommending a new main wiring harness. The new harness was ordered and as of this report and today is still on back order. Blue Water Fabricator back in again to repair a broken gate handle on the latch in the home penalty box. This was a result of kids slamming the gate during the Sunday public skate. All Live Barn equipment was delivered on November 15th. Install date to be determined, which was yesterday. Man, 3 full-time, 1 seasonal. There was no specific training assigned in November. For the facility activity, we were 98% booked on prime time and 77% booked on non-prime time. November primetime hours and percentages are the highest we have seen since doing these reports and tracking hours. Lots of non-regular user groups utilizing ice time, Sarnia minor hockey, calling requests and such. And Point Minor hockey had a lot of home games during the month, not much return days. Interior, regular maintenance, cleaning. Exterior, general maintenance around the building. Salt bins have been placed at the entrances, like public works. Three light poles not functioning in the north parking lot, capital budget item for 2025. Which we have proceeded yesterday and ordered them. Hopefully it gets approved. Still waiting word on concern about the low spot in the north parking lot at Community Hall. Mike may have a follow-up, I don't know.
Yeah, I talked with Frank Laza and he thinks that it's something that we should explore.
Okay,
So I think Mike and I discussed it might be more of a spend time thing than back to them.
perfect. Community Hall, obviously, the Optimums are still running it. HSC did the annual semi-annual fire suppression inspection. The Optimums Club have made a request for security cameras and additional tables for 2025 capital budget items. Quotes are pending. I actually have the quotes now. Red and Co. continuing to run the snack bar, and they have a request for a new exterior door at the entrance to the snack bar. I got a quote on that as well. Inspections, the usual monthly inspections along with the tobacco and smoke bylaw officer was in, and HSC for the fire suppression. In venue advertising, we have the new pricing, and a new advertising client has been confirmed. KB Shoring has now signed a contract and had a sign installed on the west wall of the arena. We're still awaiting a meeting with the user group to discuss advertising partnership. Vehicles, equipment, nothing to report this month. Customer satisfaction, lots of positive comments from our many user groups. Health and safety, monthly SOP reviews. Security, nothing to report from November. Capital budget and operating budget, all major 2024 capital budget item projects have been completed. 5-year roof building inspection has been confirmed for early December. And then we've had conversations about the 2025 budget. Closing comments. November was the busiest month on record for prime time ice use. We had only 6 hours not booked for the entire month. The Point Edward Minor Hockey hosted many home games and utilized lots of ice during the month. The Point Edward Skating Club continued with their programming throughout the month and added some extra non-prime ice through the Blue Water Regional Training Center. We have received lots of requests for ice during the holiday season and are doing our best to accommodate as many users as we can. Ice is at a bit of a premium this year because of where Christmas and New Year's falls on the calendar. Many of our regular user groups are utilizing their ice time during the holiday season, minimal return. On the maintenance side, we had a few equipment repairs and scheduled maintenance inspections completed. Looking ahead to December, we are expecting another very active month at the arena. The ice schedule is very busy with not many openings. We will continue to try and sell any unused and or returned ice, which is minimal. Whenever Minor Hockey will conclude their fall seeding portion of their hockey season, and we will await the winter reseeding schedule. Whenever Skating Club will continue with programming and will host Santa Claus on multiple occasions. We look forward to the holiday season and seeing how the family utilize the facility over the Christmas break. Any questions?
Did we ever have any success trying to find a skate patrol? I'm just thinking about that penalty box door.
We do have a skate
Mhm.
patrol. He is,
He was there Sunday.
yeah, he's there, I'm gonna say 75% of the time. He plays
Mhm.
travel hockey too, so.
Okay.
And I know he'll be there this Sunday too, he's already let me know, so.
He's like a tall kid, so he stands out, wears his vest, but I
Yeah.
think he
When he's
stands
there,
out.
he does a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to reel him in a little bit, but.
Howard.
No, it's just he would like to skate with his buddies, and we said, you have a job to do, and we need you to stay on top of it, but.
Yeah, I usually try and get out on a Sunday and go for a spin around the ice, and I haven't so far. I've been kind of tied up, but that's good to hear that we do have a skate patrol.
Yeah, and he's been doing good. Yeah. Okay, this is December monthly report. A&W Locksmith repaired a closer on dressing room 7. TSSA was in for the annual inspection of the compressor room and all the safety devices within the room. 2 minor work orders were issued in the report. Both items have been addressed and photos sent to the TSSA inspector to show compliance. The minor held a teddy bear toss evening with all minor hockey teams participating. 319 teddy bears were collected and distributed to various charities and agencies around the community. On December 9th, we had a live barn subcontractor in to assess the installation of the live barn equipment. More work will be done to determine an installation date, which again has been completed yesterday. Bridgeview School in for their annual open skate with all the students on December 12th. We had a fire alarm on December 12th as well. The alarm was caused by some careless cooking in the community hall. All clear given by the fire chief. Julie Harris from the Sarnia Lambton Ontario Health Team has reached out to start planning for the 2025 Age Friendly Expo. The expo is scheduled for Wednesday, May 7th. The first planning meeting will take place January 9th. At the arena, we look forward to working with Julie and her team once again. Blue Water Plumbing was in to look at it's actually a solenoid valve on the automatic hot water fill station in the Olympia. Solenoid was faulty and a new solenoid and valve were ordered and are expected in early January. They were installed yesterday. On Saturday, December 28th, we hosted a public skate sponsored by the Village of Point Edward and Mayor Han. Skate was well attended, and we thank Mayor Han for sponsoring the skate once again this year. We received the girls silver stick, which has already happened. We anticipate the boys silver stick schedule in early January, which I have received now official. Century Fire was called in on Sunday, December 29th to look at a leak in the sprinkler system air compressor. It determined the regulator valve was plugged with dirt and debris. The valve was assembled clean for back in service. Special thank you to Matt Mintz and his team at Century Fire for doing this repair at no charge. With management be full-time and seasonal. Employee training, every employees completed the fire extinguisher training. For the facility activity, we were 96% booked on prime and 88% booked on non-prime. Factors affecting the total number of hours would be holiday closures. Obviously, the skating club would turn ice between Christmas and New Year's, and we did have some cancellations in the men's league because of a referee shortage. Interior, regular maintenance, obviously. Exterior, general maintenance. We had a couple of weather events during the month, thanks to Steve and the Public Works crew for their timely response and maintaining the parking lot. The light pole issue is being addressed, and then there was no concern in the park. Community hall, the vent in the hot water tank room has been sealed for the winter. Merry Christmas to me. Having a good Christmas. Fire alarm on December 12th, Carol's cooking, and we have the request for budget items. Concession stand, Red and Co obviously will continue to run it, and we had an public health in for annual Dine Safe inspection, no issues reported. There was request for doors on there. All the monthly inspections were completed along with the TSSA inspection, and then the Robert E. Dale Limited was in on 17th for the 5-year roof and structural audit of the arena. In venue revenue, the KB Shoring advertising sign was installed in the second. MMP has requested to move wall advertising to the rink boards. New signs are being made by Ask Guy and are scheduled to be installed in early January. That's not complete as of yet. And then we're still waiting a meeting. Vehicle and equipment, nothing to report. Customer satisfaction, TSSA inspector was very complimentary on the cleanliness of the facility and in particular the compressor room. And Kevin also received a letter that was very complimentary from one of the Point Edward Minor Athletic Association hockey teams for helping them facilitate a Christmas party they had during one of their practice time. One of the SOPs completed as assigned by Kelly. Nothing to report on security. Budget items will be full swing here soon for 2025. Closing comments. December concludes what was a very busy month, and here at the arena, Point Edward Minor Hockey concluded the fall season of the schedule, while the Point Edward Skating Club continued with programming and welcome Santa on various occasions, and also hosted multiple family skates during the month. During the holiday season, we welcomed multiple families and user groups to the arena. We sold all available non-prime time ice and almost all prime time ice, with only a few hours available later in the evenings and holidays. Looking ahead to January, the ice schedule is very busy once again. The arena will host the Girls and Boys International Silver Stick Finals. The 25th Annual Girls International Silver Stick Tournament is slated for January 3rd and 5th. And the Boys North American Silver Stick Tournament is 2 weeks later on January 17th and 19th. Point River Blackhawks will start the reseeded winter portion of their hockey season in early January. And the Point River Skating Club will will start the second half of their winter skating program. We will continue to work on 2025 budget items and start planning for summer season, working with our various summer user groups. Yeah, question.
Any questions?
You have a question about the request for a new door on the concession? Like, doors are super expensive. I'm just wondering, is it like a real need
It's
or?
quite well, yeah.
Okay, I just wondered what was going on.
Yeah, he was in an assessment. We thought we were gonna need 3 doors. They do need a door. If the inner guts are.
I'm
gone.
sure, I mean, I'm sure you
Yeah.
would look at it.
The
just
north
like
door
they're so
needs, the
expensive.
north door needs a frame end door, and our back door, they're gonna refurbish and reseal it. and
Okay.
They do.
Thank you.
I have just one thing. I went to watch some of the Silver Stick, the girls Silver Stick. And there's an area in the corner in front of the one stands where all the crazy hockey parents have to stand right on the glass. And I use crazy hockey parent with all due respect. I consider myself one. But we had little no standing signs, and I don't want to put staff on the spot. But that whole grandstand, it was 2 local teams were playing, was empty because nobody could see there. And we had little signs at people's feet. And I asked this to Mike too, is there any way that we could put something maybe about eye height? Or is this something that we can't really regulate?
I do recall the stickers being there. Maybe we can.
One of them's
order
still
some
there.
Yeah, maybe we can order some new ones, maybe a little bit bigger.
So what I've seen is if you put it on the glass in white, it doesn't affect the vision of the people actually sitting in the stands. I sat there, but I went up about 5 seats high to look over all the people because everything else was pretty full. Well, there's, like I said, 2 local
Yeah.
teams playing. But you know, you don't want to interfere with people's view, but even on a Point Edward night, you'll see people sit in the first 2 seats, especially that have mobility issues and have to ask, hey,
Right.
excuse me, I can't see, you're standing right in front of the glass there where I'm trying to look. Is there anything like that?
We could look at some. Maybe
Um,
some frosted on the glass that
And again, something like if it's in white,
non-discreet.
it's gonna be right in front of your face if you want to stand there, but
You
the
talking
people.
on the curve?
Yeah.
By the concession?
Yeah, the ramp to go down.
Cause when I
Yeah.
got there, I was like, oh, sweet, my section's
I don't know why
empty,
they
and then
say-
I realized if I sat there, I
Yeah.
couldn't see anything anyhow, cause there's just people shoulder to shoulder. And a lot of them like to stand behind the net, but with the traffic of kids carrying their hockey bags, that ends
Yeah.
up being open. And even the opposite corner, there's no stands there, everything's elevated,
Right.
so you can stand there and not block people's view.
Okay, we can look at some.
Just something
Yeah.
to consider, because I know a lot of people do like to sit, but especially if you're have mobility issues, that low bench is probably what a great place to sit rather than going up the stairs.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And there is one other area, which actually, there's a sign up that talks about wheelchairs,
Mhm.
but it's down farther.
Yeah, there's
a sign
one,
that says this is a wheelchair area.
there's
Yeah,
one
we
right
try
beside
at
the
the end
penalty
of every
box.
section. we
Yeah,
try to put-
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's just the accessibility stickers there.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, just that corner, there's a whole
Yeah.
section
Yeah.
that sits empty because, and it usually only happens during Silver Stick.
But, yeah, it's-
And I'm not asking staff to start booting people out because you guys don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But if there's something that we could do to maybe
Yeah.
deter people from standing
Yeah.
there that allow more people to watch the game from that corner.
Sure.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Oh,
Very
I-
thorough.
Yeah, sorry, I did forget to comment, like, great job on managing that ice time, like, for those record numbers.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't easy and,
No, it's,
um,
there was a few disappointed people, but
yeah, I
It is what it
like,
is.
so many people are trying to get our ice time, but, I did have a question I'll ask now, is, for Family Day, do we have any available ice for a family skate? You're looking at me, but,
it's it's a Monday, which is the maintenance day. I mean,
oh, yeah,
so we don't open till noon, but
okay.
we're sold out from
Okay.
noon till 11.
Just a thought, because we used to use it and we're not, like, for the camp for employees. So I thought maybe we could, that's fine.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a little staff issue.
Yeah. no problem. I just, it just went through my mind because it's family day.
Okay. If something comes up, if someone cancels, then I can definitely.
Yeah, keep it
hold
in
and
mind.
Reach out to
Yeah, we could,
Jim and you.
yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Robert's, you're up.
Morning.
Good morning.
The Public Works Committee report for month ending November 30th. Nothing update from previous month, work management for full-time. Employee training, no, nothing, Operations building, we had Black and Mack in to repair our exhaust levers that were staying open, so it's nice they're closed in the winter time. Exterior, nothing to report, inspections, nothing to report. Road sidewalks parking lot, we installed another speed spy on Venetian, and it Mike's been able to connect to it, so he's probably got a little data for you.
Mhm.
And then we purchased a pallet load of sidewalk de-icer on sale, so we got a good deal on that. Parks and public spaces, Veterans Park was cleaned up and prepped for the veteran ceremony. Continued tree trimming on boulevard trees. Remove the nets and lock the tennis courts for the season. Continue with our leaf cleanup at multiple parks and the dead ends. Put up the Christmas lights downtown and beyond. And prep, so Christmas in the village prep work, and then we also did a little test run on the new permanent Christmas lighting at the pergola, which I think looks fantastic. I don't know how many people have noticed it, but I think it looks great.
It was
It really looks good. So I think it's something maybe we can look into further, continuing on. Inspections, audits, reports, nothing to report. Our vehicles, we had the RTV in to South Point for service for the winter. We picked up the dump truck with the new box and the new plow from Mount Forest. And the water pump went when we pulled into the shop, which was very lucky. They didn't happen on the road, so it had to be towed to carrier, fixed and returned. And we also had the garbage truck out to carrier for a check engine light, which was just minor, and it was returned. And then, looking ahead, these vehicles and everything was ready for winter. Short and sweet. Remember. Updates, nothing to report back on, work management for. Employee training, nothing here, but we did all the prescribed self-reviews that Shelley gives us. Building, nothing to report, roads, sidewalks, parking lot. We had the final year-end street sweeping, overnight parking ban signs went up, and we removed all the construction signs from around the village. Parks and public spaces, Christmas in the village set up and was ready for the event, and I think the event was really well attended and went really well. We continued with the leaf cleanup. We also had 2 extra compost Wednesdays during this because Mother Nature allowed it, I suppose, and which actually went good. I think we got most of it, so I think it made the residents pretty happy that we were able to get that done. And then we removed the wreath hanger at Veterans Park. Inspections, audits, monthly fire extinguisher checks, along with the AED and the eye wash and showers. Vehicles. Garbage truck returned to carrier for another minor issue. Anytime there's a check engine light, we take them in, just have them read the code and see what's wrong. So that's why some of these say minor. All the big trucks were done, all our diesel trucks were done for e-tests. It needs to happen before the licensing can be renewed. They all passed with flying colors. We did a test on the hydraulics and the connections on the new box and plow, and it worked. The box, we've got Mike and I are working with the people that installed it. It's working, but we've got some minor things that we want them to adjust, but probably won't be till spring. And I had Blue Water Fab in to estimate. We have these fins on the side of the box, so the salt won't flow out the sides. These boxes are a little different shape, so we have to have some new ones fabricated. We're still working the kinks out on that, but we've got ones that we made that are working for now, but we're gonna have some permanent ones. Health and safety, the fire extinguisher online refresher, the safety hub. Closing comments, some snow plowing, the road salting, and we've ordered some road salt. Any questions?
Any questions?
So that's 2 years in a row, at least that I remember, where we added extra leaf days.
Yeah.
Again, based on how climate change.
Yeah.
So I guess like every year you can monitor. Or we change the date.
Yeah, I think we just monitor.
Yeah, I think the
mean,
monitoring
you're-
worked well and,
You never know.
And then-
We could have snow, we could have,
Yeah,
I don't want
right.
that truck out on salty roads.
Right.
It's never seen salt. That's why it's lasted as long as it has.
and then we use constant contact to notify.
And you know what, people don't
Public
put them out, like, I mean, there's still,
Yeah.
like, I drive around Sarnia, I still see the lights, you know what I mean, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think this year was fairly obvious that, Mother Nature didn't wanna let those leaves. go
yeah,
this year.
but it was like that last year too.
Yeah,
With the Sarnia composting facility being open until late December as well, if we are
Yeah.
able to, there
Yeah.
is still an option for people to.
It's just, it's,
necessary, but.
It's a nice service to be able to provide.
yeah.
The only other, I'll just make mention of the Christmas lights. Everything looked beautiful. I did send a note through, I think, to Mike to say I had it's kind of a complaint or request from a business on Light Street, like we added new Christmas lights into the plaza on Helena.
Yeah.
And they're looking
The
forward to.
majority of that was because that was supposed to be part of the Christmas in Village.
Right.
tour.
But those other businesses would like to be included, but they can't be right now until a project's done, but
Right.
it's something to look at.
Yes, thank
They
you.
could also put their own, like, I noticed that those businesses say things, but they don't do anything Christmas related. So maybe it should be like, if we're gonna put something on the pole, maybe we should decorate their building as well, right? And there was not one Christmas light on Light Street, so.
I just,
Steve and I did mention,
Okay.
it. We actually walked to take a look to see if some of those poles along Light would be able to facilitate some of those. I know Steve had mentioned in the past, because of the high voltage power that's
Mhm.
going along those lines. There's no current infrastructure along those poles to be able to do it. We
Okay.
can look at it in the spring to see if it would
Just-
be necessary.
I just said I'd take it forward.
Yeah,
because
it
I
was
didn't-
done a long time ago, and then, because of the high, we had to pay for our power to put them up, so it became
Yeah,
cost
yeah,
prohibitive.
yeah.
Right, so if it's not something that we can do ourselves,
But I get the point of like fairness, right?
We can, yeah,
Well,
we'll certainly.
I mean,
continue
we've
to
been-
take that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's on the radar anyway, if it's
Yes.
depending on whether or not it can be worked out. That's all I have.
I got one, well, maybe two things. First of all, thank you for the job that Public Works does on our roads. I personally had an example, and then sometimes we take for granted in Point Edward because things just happen. But I was driving my son to high school at Northern, and as soon as I crossed Christina Street last week, it got incredibly slippery. And I was just in my own head thinking, wow, is it ever nice how great our staff is keeping our roads safe to drive on? So I just want to make sure that was heard,
appreciate that.
pass that on.
And I gotta give credit to the guys, too,
Yeah.
like. The nice thing about us is you got a bunch of people that actually care. And that's why that happens, right? I think a lot of it, 'cause we do notice when it snows and we get out right away.
Yeah, just that 8 a.m, I pull out of my driveway, it's beautiful, and I head down Michigan Ave, and then there's a significant change at Christina Street. And there was a few cars sliding around, especially trying to turn into the high school at Indian Road, and people sliding in intersections, and it was quite slippery, but in Point Everett, it was great. So it is noticed, it is appreciated, and just pass that on.
I had a similar experience on Saturday, but on foot, so. When I left my house, I noticed that our trail had been plowed, and this was like 8:30. So I was walking and I got towards the animal farm and a man stopped me and he said, you might want to reconsider going around the lake. He said, it's really rough walking. And I went, oh, thanks for the information. The trail's all done through Point Edward, so we turned around and did down at the casino instead because we had a plowed trail, so that was appreciated.
We like to plan, we know how many users there are.
Yeah.
So we do try and prioritize.
And I know, I knew that when your work's done, you can get that trail done, and it was already done by 8:30, so that was good.
Thank you.
I have a leaf question too, and I'm not a tree expert, but there's a lot of trees in the village that really hang on to their leaves a long time. Like I have some along my property that we had snow, you know, right before Christmas, and I have all these leaves on top of my snow. They're blowing out of the trees. We have a really nice boulevard tree on Victoria and Alfred. I can see it from my front porch, and by the middle of November, it's bright red, drops all its leaves. It's beautiful. And then back the other way on Victoria Street, we have these, I don't know.
They're Norway maples.
Yeah.
They don't wanna let them go.
And they hang on and they hang on and they lose branches a lot too, because I know there's one across the street from me that there's been several branches fall off it.
Yeah.
Is there any,
That's your neighbor's tree, the one? that you
yeah,
talked
right
about?
across the road that's been
Oh,
dropped a few, and then one, there was like a garbage truck or something hit and took some of it off, but there's two of them on either side of Alfred.
yeah.
They hang on to their leaves and they always seem to drop branches in the wind. I know trees aren't cheap, but do we have a plan to replace some of those ones that
Well,
hang on?
yeah, we do. There's a lot that need replacing, like Mike and I have talked about that. This is, and those Norway maples, just to speak on that. They're actually considered an invasive species now,
Mhm.
so DeGroots doesn't even sell them.
Well, they
we
drop
won't- we
maple
won't-
keys like crazy, and that's why they're so invasive.
And
'cause
we
they're
don't, well, and we
everywhere.
don't plant them anymore, so. And they're terrible for jacking sidewalks too.
Yeah, I've seen that too, just kind of walking around.
Yeah, so those are no longer on our plant list, those ones, so we only would plant like certain maples. And then we're going more towards smaller trees for the boulevards, just so they're not as disruptive. And that's something we've discussed is, we've trimmed down our list of amount of trees that can go. And they're not gonna be, like some places can take a large tree, but.
Yeah, like, and I know those autumn blades, they'll get big. They're
They will,
beautiful,
but you
and
can
they're
also prune
expensive.
them, you can prune them so that they don't go so tall, but they bush more. So it just depends on how you, but the autumn maples are like a native species and they don't cause the same problems as the other ones do, so.
With the upcoming year, the whole idea, we've taken a tree list, an older tree list and put it, digitized it electronically. We're gonna put it into mesh to try to identify what trees are the most dilapidated or need the most attention to be cut down. We're gonna create that list and go forward with the budget that we have to be able to do that. And then create a 1, 3, 5 year list, trying to remove some of the invasive species that fall within the budget. The biggest issues are making sure that nothing can damage it.
Yeah.
We find that that tree is in really rough shape. We saw that a number of
Yeah,
times.
we
this year.
we cut a few down this year and
Yeah. We have an arborist who can come out and give us an idea on, yes, that tree is in pretty rough shape, take it out, or no, that tree's quite healthy, I would move it. for it.
That's what I was kind of looking for. Do we have like a tree
Yes.
inspector specifically to look at
like
those
when we
things?
notice something, if it's something that we can't determine, then we will call him in and ask him for his opinion.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then if he says, you know what, it's gotta go, that's gospel, he takes it down and removes
It's
it.
good if it's checked out.
Yeah, the thing, like you look at Victoria Street and in the summer, it looks amazing because everything creeps over the top, but probably 80% of those trees are on that list, 5-year list almost, right? So that's gonna be a balancing act with the public, because I'm sure a lot of people love those trees, because it's, a lot of people, it's the only tree in their yard.
Mm.
So, that'll be a challenge in the future.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of lindens on Victoria, or on Louisa also, that are getting too big for their space. Like the one that we cut down by the bus stop at Louisa
Yep.
in Michigan there for the water main break. Like if you go and look at.
Oh,
size
yeah,
of them,
that was a
it's
big
massive,
tree.
And they're all that big.
Yeah,
When you drive down Victoria, right, or sorry, Louisa,
Yeah.
right from the dead end all the way. There's probably 20 of them that are pretty close to that
Yeah.
size.
I just know growing up on St. Clair Street, there was crabapple trees all the way along, and they had always bloom pink flowers
Yeah.
in the spring. And those were always really nice.
Yeah.
On my boulevard, back towards Arthur Street, there was a flowering crabapple, and
Yeah.
it blooms really nice in the spring, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be a huge tree either, so.
No,
Again, I,
they're on the list as well, like we do plant those still.
Okay.
They tend to sucker a lot, so they're a high maintenance tree.
Yeah.
From our perspective, or like it's the homeowner, we're taking care of them, there's lots of tiny little branches.
I
So
see
those are
them
the
trying to
biggest-
fight back the ones that were cut down on St. Clair
Oh,
Street for the
unbelievable, like
construction.
they're-
They're,
Yeah.
they're fighting back and trying to grow.
And or if you drive down like Hauser and Begarvey, you'll see like those little suckers, they're everywhere.
Mhm.
So they are a challenge that way.
So they're not a perfect fit
They're
then.
not, they work, if, it all depends, like some, they look good for the first while, like I think they have a lifespan that way. And
Yeah.
maybe some of those are gone beyond where they're easily manicured. But they are a nice tree, they flower. Some of the people don't like the fruit off of them.
Mm.
But, you know, it's again a balancing act, right? So we do have other flowering trees that work. So, yeah, but
I like the crabapple.
I do too, and the cherries look nice too.
And the birds eat them in the fall and the winter if they're still hanging there, so
Yeah.
we're helping the environment.
As long as you don't have a bulldog, right? I guess I'm on.
Okay. Receive and file the monthly reports for Public Works. And item 3 is speed tracker data and analysis.
Thank you. So this report will discuss the analysis of Michigan Front and Venetian, which was just recently added for both November and December of last year. Now, there were, as I know in the files, there was the individual photos of all the data, which gives you more of a graphical representation. Again, I did a full review of the analysis of all the data that was available. Get into that a little bit more for all those 3 locations. On Front Street, November, December data were broken out and identified individually for average speeds, maximum speeds throughout the month, as well as total traffic through the month. And we can break them out according to individual hours, which gives us a little bit more freedom to find out where things are working. The average speed in traffic heading southbound is significantly higher than heading northbound on Front Street. So anything heading out of the village towards Sarnia tends to be quite a bit quicker. When the traffic speed and everything was distributed, when you're looking at the analysis, the average speeds for November were 63% or 63.9% and 66.6% of outbound traffic. And that it's speed, that is traffic that is 50 kilometers or slower. So basically within the speed limit, which indicates that you're looking at 30% or higher that are exceeding that speeds. We really look at the excessive speed, so anything over 60 kilometers an hour or higher. So in November, it was 4.6% of the traffic load was higher than that, and in December, 4.1. So in the trends that you can see is it is actually slowing down. There was an uptick after the summertime, where it did speed up a little bit, and we had excessive traffic going quite a bit higher, and now it's starting to level back off a little bit, which is nice to see. It is, as I said, it is a decrease from a peak, which was in October, which again, those graphs show. Conversely, in November, less than 46.9%, and then in December, 52% of outbound traffic conform to the speeds. So again, that's people are really flying as they're moving in. And this is where the excessive speeds, again, 8.5% and 7% of the traffic show excessive speeds heading out of the village. That's pretty significant when you start to look at the numbers of people that are in that area. And again, that's over 60 kilometers an hour. Again, but it is decreasing. Again, October was our peak time. It was quite extensive at that point. Average daily traffic on Front Street is about 4,400 in November, and then you can see a decrease in December of 3,800, and then almost 60% of the vehicles are heading south. So it's that is Front Street. Michigan, we did again. I do the same analysis. Now we look at eastbound, outgoing traffic is eastbound on Michigan, and the volume again is significantly higher than westbound traffic. So people are traveling more eastbound than westbound. In November, 74.2%, and December, 76.3% of inbound traffic conform to the speed. So we're having a good confirmation of people coming into the village with that, with only 2.5 and 2.3% exceeding the 60 kilometers, which is nice to see. Again, we see some. The numbers have increased since July, but we can see some correlating decreased traffic in terms of the numbers of overall traffic study. Conversely, less than 66.1% or 69.2% of outbound traffic conform to the speeds. And then when you talk about excessive speeds, November's 3.6 and December's 4%. That is people heading westbound. So it's, yeah, there's a lot of traffic there. When we look at the average daily traffic in those areas, November's 5,900, and then December's 5,500. So it's again, it's big. It is 49 to 51% in terms of traffic flow both ways, with more with the traffic flowing mostly eastbound. But again, traffic volume in that area is decreasing quite a bit. Looking at the trend of numbers over the year. Now, Venetians, again, these are brand new numbers for us. We just started to gather them in November, December. We don't have any history beyond these points, but looking at the numbers, the Venetian traffic, November is 73.1, in December 74.1 inbound traffic, conforming to the speed limits, and 2.2% exceeding 60%. There's 60 kilometers an hour. So the excess speeds on Venetian are they're only about 2%, which conforms a little bit to Front Street, or even a little bit less than Front Street.
I'm actually surprised.
Yeah, and that's
Venetian's a 60 zone?
no, it's a 50. My
But they
fault.
Okay, I got you,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
you.
sorry. So that's
Speeding is over 60.
the excess speed over 60 is what
It's
we were.
just, people keep talking about how fast people are on Venetian, so I'm
Yeah,
surprised to see this number.
and when we looked at the studies, even the max numbers in terms of the max speeds aren't extremely, they're well within range of what we've seen in the village, but even the number of vehicles in terms of daily traffic, we're only looking at 2,500 people
Yeah.
traveling that space with, and then when you look at the 2% of that, it's not it's significant, but it's I know what you mean, there's been a lot of conversations.
yeah.
Yes, and conversations about that. And again, it's pretty even with eastbound traffic exceeding about 52% of the traffic versus 48% of traffic going westbound. So looks like people are exiting out more than getting. Now, the one thing I will say about Venetian, and I am working with the company, some of the data wasn't always available between 7 and 12 at night in terms of me gathering it through the system. So I am looking to find out what's going on. The system does capture it, but I'm not able to access it all the time. So I'm working with the company to find out it's most likely software issues.
I have a couple of theories. So I drive in the village a lot,
Yes.
people coming northbound on Front Street, see the sign light up, they're in front of me, and I watch their speed decrease. A lot of people just don't realize how fast they're driving. They're not evil people. They'll hit an accelerator through a driving habit. And then coming out of the village, heading south on Front Street, there is no flashy sign, so they get back to their normal habits. And I find that's where a lot of that stuff happens. The lack of traffic coming a certain way, we have the scenic route. You come in along Venetian, loop under the bridge, and then leave going down Michigan Ave. So that's always the scenic route that we have quite a bit. And we see them, drive by our house, going into Canatera Park, coming out. So that's where some of the data is. And this is just me. I'm a weirdo. I pay attention to driving details. I still, and I've said this before, would love to see some data for Louisa Street because of that light that doesn't change on Front Street in Michigan. So all of us that live north of Michigan that don't want to wait for that light to change every time, because you never get a green until you make it green, that cut down Louisa Street and speed that way to avoid the lights. And then I make a note of the person beside me who gets the advanced green and watch them cross Michigan Ave at Louisa way ahead of me. So that's still my complaint. I would like that light at Front and Michigan to just once in a while catch a green light coming up on Front Street, just once in a while. Every time I gotta sit there at 11 o'clock at night and wait for it to change. And I watch the people who cut down Louisa Street, so there's a lot of traffic there.
It will be interesting. We have set the polls for Louisa and Charles
Okay.
for the four-way stop. There's just a few minor details that need to be set, and we'll be putting new stop signs up in there, which hopefully will negate that idea of people taking that route as a
When does
secondary.
that happen?
But you're talking just in Michigan.
Across the hall.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because as soon as you cross Michigan or turn left onto Michigan.
Oh, I see.
It's a
I
green
see.
light
Oh,
also.
yes.
Personally, I just
I know what you
willed
mean, like-
myself to get used to it, because I never used to go that way. And then with all the construction, that became my route home, and now I just made myself
Mhm.
calm down, be patient. Till it turns.
Well, like you say, Paul, like, same with us as snowplows, we get to there. And you just sit there and you're like, okay.
Check my emails.
One, oh, it changed.
It's
And
like
then you go,
podcast.
you turn around at the end of front, and you hit the light again, because
Yeah.
there's not enough time, because it
Yeah.
only allows, what, 3, 4 cars through if you're lucky.
Anybody going north and south on Front Street gets a red light.
Yeah.
And everybody coming in east, west.
Yeah.
On
No,
Michigan
I
gets the
agree.
green
You
light,
see it all the
because you
time.
have to force it to change. Maybe once in a while, you're lucky to be a pedestrian that hit the button, then you're like, hey, green light, which never happens. But you're always waiting, and I understand why people do the cut through. And that's why I thought that four-way stop was important, because I think speeding through our residential streets like Arthur and Louisa
Mhm.
are more, more of a consideration than what goes on Venetian and Front Street.
The perimeters.
Those flashy signs work though. Again, just traveling with my kid playing hockey, you go through a small town, we're in Huron County. And you're driving on a road and then all of a sudden you hit 50 and that sign lights up in the dark that says you're speeding,
Mhm.
you're aware of it because. You're kind of lost or maybe not thinking about your speed, but those signs work very well to watch people decrease their speed.
We could put your theory into test by, there's possibility to move that, we can literally swing that around, that one around the pole. If we needed to, and have it face north, so as people go face south, as people are coming down, they'll see it. That is a possibility that we could look at if that was something that would be interested in.
I would just like to add
be
one to the budget every once in a while. Like, I know year to year, our budgets get eaten up for different things, but just to say. Can we have one, again, that's maybe mobile that we can throw on Louisa Street? Or when St. Clair Street gets finished, just to collect some data on there. Something to that effect that we could move around a little bit.
We actually do have a separate mounting bracket,
Mhm.
so if you add somewhere, we can mount it and then. You can just move the actual unit over to another.
Yeah, they're all mobile.
Yes.
It's just a matter of how.
It's just we
I-
decided where we thought was most important. to
Yeah,
start,
and I
so-
like the one on Front Street.
Yeah,
Because there's a lot of traffic there. And like I said, coming in behind people, you can see down the road and it says 65.
Mhm.
And then you watch the person slow down to get it to 55. Because they weren't aware that they were accelerating so much.
Mhm.
And same thing coming in, I'm on Michigan Ave all the time coming from Northern. And there's cars in front and you'll see them and that side is always slower. And you'll get people that slow right down to 50 to get the little happy face. And then coming out of the village, it's always a little faster because there's no sign there reminding you that you're speeding.
Right.
We don't have to have them everywhere, but it'd be nice if we did have one that we could move around and not take those away because Michigan Ave, again, kids are crossing that to go to school and come back from school. Just to have that variety store in the corner of Arthur, there's people crossing the road there all the time. So I think that's a really good spot. I wouldn't want to see that one move. But if at some point in the budget, if we could add one more of those. And then see how kind of data it collects.
I agree with you on Michigan. It has been interesting to see the trends for the year of watching the traffic increase, but watching the speed decrease. On one of the graphs, it actually has the average number of vehicles that are going, but then you can actually see the speeds and they're related extremely well. Where the more traffic, the slower they go, which is great to see.
Dumb question, but do we share all this data with the OPP?
The data is available. I have not shared it directly with you.
We,
I
Maybe
think
it
we
wasn't
haven't
such a dumb question.
recently, but
yeah, we have in the past and we talked to them about it
Yeah.
at one of our meetings that
Mhm.
this was happening.
Mhm.
Cause whenever I've listened to any of them speak, it's always they want data. If they're gonna put someone into speed enforcement, they want the data to support it. And if we're collecting the data, it would be nice if we shared it with them.
Mhm. Certainly pass it along.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any other questions on that?
Thank you for your report. I know we keep
Thank you.
adding to the load, like
good.
adding another street and more information.
Well, I think when we get that four-way stop, that will
Yeah,
alleviate
yeah.
that. That's why I was in favor of the four-way stop
Mhm.
there,
Yeah.
because I see it every day. Okay, so we'll receive and file.
Seconded.
Is there any other new business?
the only thing is about capital budgets and that people, I know you've done a lot of work. Mike, has Jane shared with you the new forms and stuff for capital items?
No, just yet.
So that's something, there's a new form that we've used just started using it for the water department.
Mhm.
And each capital item has a separate page. You give an explanation of what you're doing, what the cost is. So Jane will go over that with you
Absolutely.
fairly soon. We kind of wanted to get through the water department budget, kind of test it there and we'll be. And then I would assume, so we're in January, like next month, we'll probably want to go through the capital budget. At the committee meetings, so.
I have one new item I'm just curious about, and Councillor Mondu would talk about it a lot, and he brought it up to me a few times, just about the life of the arena.
Mhm.
And I, don't want to get into that. We have other bigger fish to fry, but is there any idea about what's the shelf life on our current building, and then would we consider something new? And I know he had brought that up a few times in going through the previous meetings.
I can pull up the asset management data and give you an idea on what the details from that data indicate in terms of the building itself. When the report came in from Ardale, which was brought up by Derek, there were a number of items in it to add maintenance to the specific building, which would add a longer lifespan into that building. I thought I can pull up some information.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I grew up in that building, but
Everything's got a lifespan, so.
just again, traveling with my kid, and we were in Brant Sports Complex, just outside of Paris.
Mhm.
Beautiful
Nice.
new
It's a nice-
facility,
yeah.
and they're really doing good things, and a lot of them have the walking tracks and everything else that everybody can use. And that's one thing that people always say about having an indoor walking track. I realize that's down the road, but I was just curious at what point, if we consider it. I know I'm gonna have this for 9 more meetings, but I thought I'd bring it up today, just kind of food for thought.
Okay.
And like I said, Councillor Mondu had brought it up before as well. And I love going to the old arenas. I absolutely love it, but what are we estimating this at? 75 years approximately, this building we're in?
Thought it was built in 48, so.
That's pretty close.
So-
Very close.
I know personally, Mike, I recently got a quote for the rink floor because it's getting close to that.
Oh, yeah,
They're 40, 50 years. They figured that one's 40. And they're not cheap.
I bet.
So you're pushing 2 million, 2.2 million.
And everywhere I go, again, just me killing time at rinks, I read everything about how this building was built, the funding, the levels, the collaboration of user groups, community groups, everything else. I don't know if you've been to Bell River or not.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful for the town of Lakeshore, the size of it, 3 sheets of ice. And I talked to one of their counselors at a conference and asked him specifically about the fundraising they did. And he talked about all these different avenues of not just sport,
Mhm.
culture, libraries, indigenous groups, everybody, their theater groups had space there, like everybody. This was not a sheet of ice. This was, so just being in Brantford last weekend, I was reading about all the funding for the Gretzky Center. And I was reading about all the stuff they did in the Brant complex and how, you know, some of these smaller communities have beautiful facilities and how they came about. So just, again, there's a lot of pieces before that happens and just, you know, something to think about anyhow.
Just back to that issue of the floor, Derek. If we have something major like that we know that's gonna come in, we should be thinking about. Putting it, you know, putting money away, reserves,
That's
okay.
the reason I got.
Yeah,
the quote,
okay, just like we
because I
do with-
know it's something that
just like we do
we're
with the
gonna have
fire
to consider
truck.
down the road. if
Yeah.
You have to take all that concrete out, everything, all the.
And
And
you'll be
it'll be-
doing the lines.
and you'll be redoing the boards, glass, everything.
Yes.
It's all integrated now.
Mhm.
Since you're. What give you like Alvin's on the show?
Oh, boy.
I'll bet you Alvin's and hundreds of thousands. Chasing leaks on the floor.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to get that out
Yeah.
there and. Okay, moving on to financial statements. Read it as first. So we're at the end of the year. The one thing I noticed looking at both of them is we're under budget. Is there more invoices coming in or is that the end of December?
There will definitely be more invoices. coming
Okay,
in.
I noticed a lot of the categories, especially in public
I
works.
think part of it was the mail strike too.
Mhm.
Like Jane said recently that with bills coming in for everywhere from that aren't here yet.
Yeah, I just got some yesterday from Ainsworth that were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Caught up in the mail.
okay, that was my only question. It just seemed like there was quite a few of the items that were still under.
so don't get
budget, so-
excited.
No, I wasn't.
About being under.
Yeah. Any questions with that?
No.
Okay, I move to receive and file those.
Seconded.
And if there's nothing else, our next meeting will be,
February 11th.
And good luck this weekend with all the company. It'll be busy in the village.
are you gonna be able to explain to everybody how to get their skate sharpened? All the range guys know where to send everybody?
Yeah, are you doing it at your basement?
No,
Oh.
Oh,
I'm still sneeze carbon dust for the 20 years I
Wow.
sharpened skates at my course, so.
You bought a van, got a mobile unit.
I think
I've
it's an
seen that
idea.
before.
Idea.
I've seen that.